This video is sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, build your online presence with Squarespace. Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay and welcome to another sculpting video. If you're new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. Today we're entering the comic book world and I'm sculpting my first Batman villain character, Scarecrow. Earlier this week I asked you all in the community tab if you wanted me to sculpt Batman villains because I've been getting a lot of suggestions for that, and the overwhelming majority of you said yes. And Scarecrow seemed to be the one you all wanted to see first, so that's what we're doing today. This guy is so up my alley, it's not even funny. I had so much fun sculpting him, and I really hope you enjoy watching the process. And before we get started, don't forget to grab your Otto plush. Otto the Raccoon Guide is my original character from my original universe called The Hidden World. He is one of the good characters, and he is available right now at aceofclay.com. You can get yours autographed by me if you would like. Just check the option when you check out. And just like all of my plushes, he is very high quality. He has all of his details, his little horns, his flashlight, bow tie buttons, little patch on his vest, and again, he can be yours right now. Just head on over to aceofclay.com before he's gone. And now without further ado, let's make Scarecrow. Alright, let's get Scarecrow started. I've got my wooden plaque with some holes drilled for my aluminum armature wire, and I'm going to shape out each side of this guy, mirroring the right and the left, and then adding a third piece of wire for his neck and tying that together with some more wire. Once my armature is assembled, I want to get him into his pose and then start bulking out his torso with some Super Sculpey Ultralight. And we're just going to mess with things a little bit more and get this guy in the oven to pre-bake it. And once that ultralight is completely cooled down, we're going to go ahead and start covering it in our final layer of clay. For this project, I'm using Super Sculpey Original for his body. Now I'm just working my way down and creating his legs. Now once I have the basic shape of the leg figured out, we're going to start adding some snakes of clay to create folds and wrinkles. This guy is pretty much made up entirely of fabric, so we're going to be adding a lot of folds and wrinkles. But let's take a break here and work on his foot. Now I'm just using some flexible cos clay to create some fringe around his ankles. This is going to be tied into that little bunch there with a piece of rope. Now the painting technique that I'll be using later on is going to really highlight all of these peaks and valleys in this fabric, so I want to add a lot of them. For the most part, when you're sculpting clothing, you want to find the main tension point and then have all of your folds and wrinkles angle towards that. In this case, and in most cases of characters wearing pants, it's the knees and pelvic area. That's where the fabric is going to be pulling from or towards. And once his lower half is looking pretty good, we're going to work our way up to his shirt. I'm just adding this snake of clay at the waist here. This is going to be where there will be a rope belt that will separate the top from the bottom, and there's going to be some fringe underneath that too. So this is just the piece of fabric that sort of is going to drape over that. And of course, we're going to add some more folds and wrinkles. Again, these are all pulling from that waistband area where the rope is going to be. Now I'm going to add the fringe to the bottom of his shirt. I'm just using this piece of cos clay that I rolled out and shredding the bottom edge so it's nice and uneven. And I'm sort of pleating it and applying it as I go, making sure the wrinkles are in the position that I want them to be. Once that's looking good, let's go ahead and finish it off with a rope. And to make it a little more interesting, we're going to add another rope up here. So I'm just creating that indent for it with my super poker. And then we're going to place our rope right in there. I'm also going to add a piece of rope to one of his knees and of course down by his ankles. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of line texture with the super poker and get this pre-baked. And while that's in the oven, let's work on a scythe. I thought that would be a nice dramatic weapon for him to have. So I'm just covering this piece of aluminum wire with some bacon bond and a snake of clay. Gonna get it nice and even, and then we're gonna texture it to look like wood. To create the blade, I'm just wrapping this piece of wire around the top there, and this is going to support our future cosplay. Now using a really sharp blade, I just want to sharpen that bottom edge here. And we're just going to refine things a little bit and then get this in the oven too. And once his body is baked, we're going to go ahead and get his arms into their final position, brush them with bacon bond, and then apply our clay. We're going to follow the same process that we used on his legs. And the tension points for the fabric on his arms are going to be his shoulders and elbows. Once his arms are looking good, let's go ahead and position his scythe. And then sculpt a little cosplay hand to hold it. Now for his other hand. To finish it off and sell the look of gloves, let's go ahead and add some fringe and a little piece of rope. Now he's got this sort of shoulder cape around his shoulders, and we're going to go ahead and make that out of cosplay. Same process as the one around his waist and his gloves and ankles, just bigger. And then we just want to make sure that all those little wrinkles are just right. And we're going to make it in two pieces, both front and back, and then sort of stitch it together on the seam. Alright, we're going to take a quick break from our video to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're a big business, a small business, a freelance designer, or sculptor like me, Squarespace has everything you need to showcase your brand, sell your products, and more. I've been using Squarespace for over 5 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. Their products are so streamlined and so easy to use that managing my website, aceofclay.com, is truly a breeze. Some of my favorite features include the portfolios and galleries. In my line of work, I have to show my work to the world, and Squarespace's beautiful portfolios allow me to do just that. I have an online shop where I can sell stickers, plushes, posters, sculpting supplies, and more, and Squarespace makes everything so easy. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I can track my inventory, print shipping labels, I get notifications every time something sells. Everything I need is right there in the platform. You can even sell digital downloads. They really have everything you need to start selling online. And at this this day and age, if you're an online business, you've got to have a social media presence, and Squarespace allows you to integrate all of your social media platforms into any page of your website. So if all of this sounds good, head on over to squarespace.com, start a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your website, go to squarespace.com/aceofclay to save 10% on your purchase of a website or domain using my code ACEOFCLAY. Alright, now let's work on his head. I'm just balling up this piece of aluminum foil to create the core, and then I'm covering it in some Super Sculpey Living Doll. And I'm going to poke in a skewer just so I have something to hold on to while I'm sculpting it, and it makes a nice little hole when I go to attach the head later on. Now I'm just going to press in the eye holes in his mask. He's going to be wearing this sort of burlap mask, typical Scarecrow style. And look at that, we've got more folds and wrinkles. For his face, I really want to vary the size of these folds because I think it just creates more drama, and the folds can sort of go with his facial structure underneath the mask, so I thought that would be cool. Now, using my sharp blade again, I'm just going to carve out his mouth. Using my cone rubber shaper, I'm refining some of the folds on his face and adding some more tiny ones. Now we're just going to add some excess fabric that's going to be coming from his mask. We're just going to add that on top of his shoulders there, and then refine things, add a couple holes here and there, and then we can attach his head. For the next step, we're going to give him a nice big pointy hat. I covered a piece of aluminum foil in some Super Sculpey, made the brim, attached the two pieces, and then we've got some more folds and wrinkles. I told you this guy is like 98% fabric. And once the hat's done, let's go ahead and nick the edges a little bit, make it look nice and worn, and then attach it to his head with some bacon bond. Now let's finish it off with another rope. And you're probably wondering what those two wires are that are sticking out of his back, and those are actually going to be the supports for two crows. We're going to sculpt the first crow now, some aluminum foil, some clay, and cosplay for the wings, add a couple details, and then pop it on. Birds are not my favorite thing to sculpt, but they were necessary for this guy. There we go, flying crow number 1, and we'll sculpt the other one off camera. Before this guy's final bake, I just want to dab on some bacon bond here and there to add some texture. Now let's get him in the oven. And once he's baked and cooled down, it's time for paint. I'm going to start by airbrushing a nice primer coat of brown. After I've got the thing lightly coated in brown, we're going to go in with some black and add some darkness to different areas. After I got some shadows on, we're going to go back in with some brown and yellow. Add some highlights. And to add some more interest, let's airbrush a little bit of purple on. Once my airbrushed underpainting is done, it's time to start creating all the highlights and details with a paintbrush. First, I'm going to use a lighter brown to hit all of those peaks. And I want to be really careful to follow the contours of the wrinkles without making them too big. Once I'm done with my lightest brown, I'm going to go in with another brown that's in between the base color and the lightest brown, and go in between all of those little peaks into all the valleys. Now to melt all my colors together, I'm airbrushing on some of my lightest brown, focusing it on areas where light would hit. Now we're going to repeat that process again on this part of his outfit, but using a different brown color palette, so it's not exactly the same. This painting technique is honestly the best way to paint something, but it's super time consuming, and this honestly isn't the best example of it because I am going kind of quickly due to time constraints, but I think it turns out pretty good. Could I do this better? 100%, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Now to really make this guy pop, I'm sort of kissing all of those peaks here and there with some yellow. And to take this to another level, I'm going into all the shadows with some watered down black, just dabbing it around all the areas where the fabric is separated from itself, and it really makes them look cool. You could honestly repeat these last 4 steps for all eternity and the thing will never be done. Like, you can keep going with this for as long as you want and it'll just keep looking better. Well, I don't know about keep looking better. It might start looking muddy after a while, but I've never gotten to that point. And in true OG Batman comic fashion, we're going to give him white eyes. Now let's finish up the hat. And let's pop on a couple more shadows here and there. And we painted the birds and the scythe. Add some dirt to the scythe. Now say it with me. And he's done! My Scarecrow sculpture is complete. Let me know how you think I did in the comments. Now there are a bunch of different versions of Scarecrow out there, but I wanted to keep this as close to the original version of him as possible, and I think I did it. My brother's a huge DC fan, so he helped me along the way, and I really hope you like how this guy turned out. So again, let me know in the comments what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.